if you've been abducted by an alien, interacted with an alien, or had a meaningful interaction with a UFO or UAP, please tell me your story. You know, it's becoming much more common for people to have interacted with this thing than people want to admit. In fact, it's become so big recently that the Department of War has made an entire website, or at least dedicated a section of their website to releasing UAP, UFO, and weird phenomenon and occurrences that they have access to. Now, are they releasing what they really have? No, let's be honest, they certainly are not. But they are releasing something, and this idea of aliens, UFOs, encounters, abductions, it's not going away. It's actually accelerating quite faster than anybody probably thought it ever would, at least in the public. Now, what are aliens? What are abductions? What are UFOs? What are UAPs? Well, that might be a discussion for another time, but I want your stories because, unfortunately, one of the things that has happened in the past is that people who had an actual alien abduction or interacted with an alien or met face-to-face, saw something, or they saw a UFO or UAP, a lot of those people, well, didn't know who to tell or didn't want to tell anybody because they would be mocked, made fun of. They didn't really know what to think of it, and it was kind of taboo in society for a long time. And to some people, it still is. Some people still look at it as if it's a big joke, and I think that's a very ignorant position to take at this point, especially with the mountain of evidence that has come out, both video, PDF, testimonies, eyewitnesses. Some of those things may be anecdotal, but at a certain point, you just have to say, okay, there's enough evidence here. Something obviously is occurring, and I want your story. But just for those people who don't have a story and you think, well, this is weird, this must be a fringe thing. Well, it's not. Let's take a look at some things here, and we'll show you that it's not just a fringe movement. So this is the website I mentioned. It's the war.gov. The Department of War has put up a website, or like I said, a section of the website where they are slowly declassifying things because Donald Trump wanted to declassify some things regarding aliens, UFOs, UAPs. And so as of right now, the Department of War just released a fifth tranche of records under Pursue. The first tranche was released on May 8th. So they've released 5 amounts. So you can just go up here to releases, and you can go through them. You can sort them through the records. You can look at, let's say, the FBI, release number 5, and images. And then you can click on it, and this is an image. This is a artistic interpretation, put the glasses on, for a reported incident above Bagram Air Force Base, Afghanistan, potentially involving unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, that's the new word for UFO. In June of 2002, it's a first-hand description. So this is an artist's rendition of what somebody saw. So something in the shape of a triangle blacked out the sky. Now, this is kind of a tricky one because you don't really know how big it is because it's hard to tell the depth of something. Like there's your field of view. If something is closer to you, it looks bigger. It's further away, and if you don't know how far away it is, it's hard to really tell how large it is. So unless you could tell, like, okay, it was a mile away, and from this vantage point I'm looking at a mile, that means that the telemetry or the dimensions of it are this size or this size. But this is on the Department of War. This is a government website. It's not just conspiracy. That's a picture. Let's look at another one. Again, another triangle shape. Triangle shaped ones are very common. It's very interesting. They're probably the most common UFO, I think, between this and disc shaped. Now, like I said, the Department of War is probably not releasing their best actual photographic proof. And there could be many reasons for that, but we're not going to go into those right now. Let's look at one more real quick. Let it load. And again, a rendition. Triangle image of an artistic interpretation of a reported incident potentially involving unidentified anomalous phenomenon near Colorado Springs in 2023, based on a first-hand description provided by a U.S. person described in FBI UAP D030. Prepared this ... Anyways, so that is something you can look at. So it's not anything to be ashamed about. It's not a fringe movement anymore. The Department of War is now actively looking into this stuff. Like I said, probably not getting their best and the best evidence. We'll just leave it at that. But it's not a fringe movement anymore. And even within Christianity, obviously, this is typically a channel where I talk about Christian things and, obviously, aliens, UFOs, interdimensional, hyperdimensional, and whatever we're going to talk about, those beings obviously fit into Christianity, maybe in a different way than a humanistic person's view would, but obviously there's too much evidence to ignore. This gentleman right here is pretty interesting, Timothy Alberino. Now, I watched his full interview. He was just on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's been becoming much more popular. He's a very smart guy, very interesting. Talks a little bit differently. Sometimes I think he talks past his guests if they're not in his space, and he's not doing it on purpose. Not that he's a bad orator. He's very good. This is a very interesting thing, but he engages in the alien topic, or like this one, the Giants of Afghanistan. Talks about the Book of Enoch. Right? He approaches these things from a biblical worldview, which is the same thing that I do. So me and him would be on the same page in many aspects. But again, proof, like, this is, 2 weeks ago, it's already got 1.9 million views. And then, of course, the clips, it has much more than that because the clips obviously surface. You got social media, you got Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. So, who knows how many millions of clips. But I've seen him interview many times for him. There's a gentleman named L.A. Marzulli, and there's a lot more Christian people that are starting to take note of this. And that's one reason I'm taking note of it. Now, I've taken note of it before, actually. I'd have to look for it. Maybe I'll put it up on screen somewhere. I did videos about aliens many years ago when I had first started my channel, and it was probably terrible audio, terrible video. But I think my opinions have changed, but I've taken note of it for a long time. And like I said, it's something that people just can't ignore anymore, and that's why I want your stories. And then you got to go to ChatGPT, right? Because nothing is complete without AI these days. So I asked it a question. I said, give me 5 more. I'd asked it about some photographs earlier. In the last 5 years, I want high-quality images, not just from the best sources like NASA. NASA, not another organization, can't really trust them, unfortunately, I don't think. And so it gave me these, but these are interesting. So this video, this is just photograph, but this is video you can find on YouTube. Jorge Artiega, and it's cool. He's in like a little prop plane, if I'm remembering this video correctly, and he's filming this object that's in the front of him. So if I was him facing, and then in the video he turns his camera, and you see this object fly by him in pretty good detail. It's pretty interesting. I've seen that one many times. That's a pretty interesting video. I mean, it shows something that's an unexplained object, right? An unexplained aerial phenomenon now, UAP. And so, I mean, you could go to AI and ask them for the best stuff in the last few years, and you can play around with it. Some of these I've seen, some of these I haven't. This was one over LaGuardia Airport that I think I saw something. This one I haven't seen much on. The Manchester Airport orb, so I can't comment on that. But this one I hadn't also seen. But this one right here, I believe is called the Booga Sphere. And this is something that Dr. Greer, who's an interesting person, I'm not sure exactly how I feel about him, but he has found this interesting sphere, and they've looked at it a lot. They've taken high-resolution photographs of it. They've X-rayed it. They've done a lot of interesting things, and you could go probably watch interviews with him. I've seen some of them where he talks about the composition. It's a metallic alloy of some kind. They're not exactly sure how it's mated, the indentations. The stuff on the bottom, obviously, if you're looking right here, this kind of looks like a motherboard for a computer, right? Where you've got like your nodes, and this is where the wires cross, and you got resistors, and I mean, it's interesting. I mean, if it's a fake, it's an interesting fake, but things like this are becoming more and more common. And so if you have a story to share of a first-hand encounter, or maybe a second-hand encounter of somebody not just something you've seen on YouTube, I want a personal story. You can put it in the comments down below. You can send it to my email at Primal Truths. If you want to send like a video message or something, you can reach out to me. If you want to interact with me more, I could always set up something. We could talk on Facebook or other social media. But just let me know. I think this is something that I want to start covering, and I want to start covering it from the vantage point of a reformed person, which is a little bit different because most of the people that you see covering them are more charismatic-y, Pentecostally, and not hating on those people, but some of those people, let's be honest, they just don't have the best discernment sometimes, and they get a little too involved, and I just want to give a different take. And I was predestined to wear this shirt, got John Calvin, so you can trust me, right? I got a cool shirt, a history shirt. So if you have anything that you'd like to share with me or with anybody, like I said, leave it in the comments down below. You can send something to my email, primaltruths@gmail.com, and let's just get the conversation going. All right, guys. See you later. Take care.